try not to get incinerated by flamethrowers while I talk about this week's
Initial thoughts. Part 1. Initial thoughts. Part 1. Initial thoughts.
We're closing out Discovery's Season 4 today with the episode Coming Home. We'll be talking about a whiskey flask full of spoilers if that's not what you're here for. Riding high on a pretty mediocre season is this episode that's easily in the top 200 of Trek. It's certainly one of the best episodes of Discovery to date, and more importantly, it's easily the best finale to one of its seasons yet. I've generally liked Discovery seasons and hated the endings. This season has been the reverse. The backloading is obvious, and they've got some work to do in Season 5, with pacing issues across a shortened season with only 10 episodes. Today we're dropped into the Evacuation of Earth. I've got a like for this whole section of the story. Tilly stays with Admiral Vance to provide cover for the evacuating ships. The bond that forms between them over a drink in the face of what looks like certain doom is beautiful. And we get a little Tilly backstory. I bet she gets an easy promotion out of sticking with the Admiral. Back on Discovery, the crew blow up the spore drive to break free of the bubble the ship is in so they can go stop Tarka before he can cause more destruction to Earth and Navarre. But you can cancel Black Alert until a refit, and they're now stuck outside the galaxy. Nduye turns herself in, but then tries to redeem herself by flying a suicide mission to stop Book and Tarka. So far, the second person to be alluded to dying with little chance of survival that comes out fine. During the discussion of who will fly the mission, Burnham for the first time makes a clear command decision for Detmer to fly the not coming back from mission. In the past, she always would have sacrificed herself in that moment. Kind of surprised they trusted Nduye after she's already betrayed them also. Harkening back to Spock mind-melding with literally everything he ever encountered, I thought it was pretty cool to see Torina trying telepathic communication with 10C, when other forms of communication had failed. Having exactly the right words for Book and Tarka at the right times gets Reno another like. While we don't get much of Tig in this season, what we do get is pure gold. I've got a like for Book knocking Tarka out with a holo disruptor. It's a really cool effect and so satisfying to watch Tarka go down hard. I've got a like for the bridge crew in this episode, all working 110%, telling a Star Trek story in a classic bridge station way. Book finally talks Tarka out of what he's doing, but it's too late. And I've got a dislike for Tarka's way too late death speech and trying to save Book. Just when you think Book's going to survive, his ship's destroyed before his transport completes. Michael is devastated and probably should have turned over control of the ship to Saru since she's compromised. But for all the crap the internet has said about Michael crying, this was definitely the time for it. Despite the immediate emotional trauma, we're going to make face-to-face contact with 10C, which turns out to be Cthulu. I'm not sure how they went from the beginning of the episode, where they couldn't communicate more than a simple message, to full-on diplomatic negotiations and pleasantries. But everything Rillick and Burnham say are pretty much the bedrock that is the foundation of Star Trek, and it deserves a like. Which immediately turns to a dislike for me. While Book adds to this wonderfully powerful message to the 10C, yeah, Cthulhu just gave Burnham her boy toy back. Another main character has climbed the Black Mountain, and I really hate how the show has killed off almost every main character at this point, just to bring them back. This episode is emotional enough. It has really great tense and joyful moments, and you don't need to keep us on the edge of this emotional yo-yo over and over about who's going to die, and how they'll come back. For the last 3 episodes, it's alluded to that a main character was going to die, with multiple indications that it was going to be Detmer, and it never paid off. There's a difference between wondering how a character is going to get out of a tough situation and outright nodding to someone dying over the course of a story arc. For this, we get another dislike. The episode is about 10 minutes longer than standard, and after a massive party in the ship's bar, which I have a like for, the filming takes us out into the corridor and past one of the many logical closure points that this episode does not observe. Were the producers trying to rival DS9's closure episode for the number of logical closure points and cheerful tie-ups? I've got a dislike for spending too much time on this feel-good ending. I really thought we were going to use this extra time to set up some pieces for next season. I thought we might see Michael depart to captain either Voyager J or become an aide to Rillick, since every season we get a new captain on Disco. Instead, the galaxy is at peace. Earth is going to rejoin the Federation, and this has to be the rosiest wrap-up in the history of a season of Star Trek. There's just one loose thread from this season that I have to wonder about. Kovich didn't come with the team to meet 10C, and even withholds Bryce to work on some kind of plan B. I really thought we'd see what comes out of this in the plot somewhere. Either way, I have my two obligatory likes, for Grudge in her queen cage, though it appears she's going to do some hard time with Book, and the second for what seems to be the payoff to a slow-simmering romance between Saru and Tarina. It seems they just formalized that arrangement. As a whole, I haven't liked Michael Burnham over the first 3 seasons of this show. But for all of Season 4's flaws, she's the least of them. Ever since Season 1, she's been clawing her way up from the girl who has no rank, all the way to captain. At the beginning of this season, she was still a reckless character, and by the end, I truly get the sense that she's a good captain that understands the nuances of what the job entails. This season really tried to redeem itself at the very end, and does an excellent job of outperforming my expectations, after an overall lackluster season. Hopefully, the writers work on the pacing and round off some of the rough edges of the show next season. In the meantime, we've got so much to look forward to in the Trek franchise this year. I'll be here to review them. Live long and prosper. I've been your host, Dustin Wing.